In this video, we're going to talk about solving two-step equations. So there's a pretty easy way to explain how do you solve a two-step equation. And really, you're just doing the order of operations backwards. So if we think of the order of operations, we have parentheses or grouping symbols. We have exponents. We have multiplication and division, and here it moves from left to right, meaning whatever we see on the left-hand side of our equation. Finally, we have addition and subtraction, and again, that's moving from left to right. So what do we see on the left-hand side first? It could be addition or it could be subtraction. So normally when we're working out problems, we work this way. But when we're trying to solve for a variable, we're going to work the other way. Which means that when we're solving a two-step equation, the first thing that we want to do is we want to get rid of the addition or subtraction portion of the problem, because that's what comes first as we're moving up our pyramid. Which means that the second step is going to be getting rid of either the multiplication or division, because that's the step that comes after our adding and subtracting step. And that means that our variable should be by itself now. So let's go ahead and let's try this on some examples. So remember, we're going to solve and then we're going to check our solutions and make sure that we did it right. So the first thing we want to do is look at our problem, which is 5x minus 3 equals 7. And it says that the first step is to get rid of the addition or subtraction part, which means we're going to be getting rid of our minus 3 here. So we want to know what is the inverse of a minus. And the inverse of a minus is a plus. So that's how we make it to go away or to get rid of it. So that will go away. And that's going to leave us with 5x. And the 3 is gone now because negative 3 plus 3 is 0. And 7 plus 3 is 10. So now we're ready for our second step, which is to get rid of the multiplication or division. So right now we have a multiplication. So we want to know what is the inverse of multiplication. And that's division. So we're going to divide both sides by 5. And 5 divided by 5 is 1. So that's going to leave us with x equals 2. And so now we just want to check it to make sure that we did it right. So we're going to rewrite our equation. We're going to leave out the x. Okay, we're going to leave that out. Here's our x. We're going to leave that out, and in that spot, we're going to put the number we got as our x. So we're going to plug our 2 in, and then we're going to put that into the calculator. And we're going to work out this side of the equation. And 5 times 2 is 10, and 10 minus 3 is 7. And when we check it, it worked out. It matched, which means that this is the right solution. So let's try this second example. Here we have y divided by 3 plus 2 equals negative 7. So again, following our rules, the first step would be to get rid of our addition or subtraction. So we're going to minus 2 because the inverse of addition is subtraction. And so our 2 is going to go away, which is going to leave us with y over 3 equals negative 9. And now we're ready to get rid of our divide. Our fraction bar is actually a symbol for division. So what is the inverse of division? It's multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides by 3, and that makes it so that we have 3 divided by 3. So that's going to go away. So now we have y equals negative 27. And we just want to check it and make sure that we're right. So again, we're going to take our variable and we're going to replace that in our equation. So we have our y divided by 3 plus 2 equals negative 7. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to plug in that negative 27, and we're going to work it out. And so if we work out this left-hand side, and you can either put that in the calculator or do it mentally, and we should end up with a negative 9 plus 2, which is a negative 7. And so when we check those, they match, which means y equals negative 27 is our correct answer, so we did it right. Let's do just a couple more examples. Why don't you go ahead and give these ones a try? Go ahead and push pause, and then when you're done, go ahead and push play, and let's check and see if you're right. So as we look at letter C, it says negative 5 equals negative x plus 3. And this one can be kind of tricky because right here, what that is really saying is negative 1 times x. But we don't usually write that. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. So what we should have done first is subtracted our 3 from both sides. And so we have negative 8 equals negative x. Now remember that this negative x is actually like negative 1 times x, right? So we're going to want to divide both sides by negative 1. And that's going to leave us with 8 equals x. We can even rewrite that as x equals 8. So now we just need to check that. So we're going to plug it in. See if we were right. So we've gone ahead and we've replaced our 8 with the x. Notice that that negative sign is still there. So now we're going to work out our right-hand side. And when we plug that into the calculator, or we can do it mentally, we get negative 5. When we check that, we see that, hey, it does equal it like it's supposed to. So we see that x equals 8 is our solution. On letter D, we have 14 equals negative y over 2 plus 6. And your first step should have been to subtract 6, which leaves us with 8 equals negative y over 2. So now we need to get rid of our division. So we're going to multiply both sides. And this one can be a little bit tricky because of that negative sign. We're actually going to take that with us when we multiply, because that lets us cross off the negative and the 2. So that we can get the y by itself. So we have negative 16 equals y. And again, we can rewrite that as y equals negative 16. So now we're ready to check our work. So we're going to go ahead and plug our negative 16 in for y, and then we're going to work out the right-hand side of the equation and see if it matches our left-hand side. When we plug that into the calculator, we come up with a 14. And we check it, and we see that it matches, which means that y does in fact equal negative 16. And that's how you can solve a two-step equation.